Very good morning to all of you. We know 9:30 a.m. morning is not a very early in the morning, but very warm welcome to this warm morning which we are experiencing. Today, this morning, we have a very august list of dignitaries presenting along with us. We welcome to you all in this special sessions on interaction with the people who have been there, seen that, and done that in their life, what you all aspire to do in your coming years. We believe the journey which you are going to embark will be full of excitement, will be full of passion, and will be full of learning that these dignitaries will have in offer for you today. And this morning, we are co-joined by the Dean Academics of IMT, Professor Amit Sareen, Dean Special Projects, Professor P.K. Biswas, Chairperson MDP, Professor Sapna Popli, and Chairperson Alumni Relationship Committee, Professor Poonam Garg. Along with the members of Alumni Relationship Committee, we all welcome you for this morning. Foremost, I would be thankful and would be welcoming for the session speaker for today, and will request our student coordinator for this session, Manyata, to take it over from here and introduce the session so that we can have a very warm and very engaging morning for you all that has been planned. Yes, Manyata, stage is over to you and Prabhat sir.
Thank you so much, Vinayak sir. So, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the new batch of students. Every batch brings with itself vibrancy and zeal, which adds to the splendor of IMT. And what better way to start this MBA experience than by learning from someone who has embarked on a successful journey right here at IMT. On that note, we welcome our esteemed alumni speaker, Mr. Prabhat Ummat, from the batch of 1995, our faculty members, and the class of 23. A very good morning to all. Today, we have with us someone who has worked with organizations such as Ramco Systems, Intel, Nokia, Microsoft, Vodafone, and Bharti Enterprises. Through his work in these top organizations, he has excelled in managed distributions, strategic partnerships, enterprise sales, and business development. Sir has expertise in the areas of mobility, infrastructure, cloud services, digital transformation, and big data. Having worked across these diverse domains, he decided to start his entrepreneurial journey in 2012. Currently, Sir is the co-founder and chief revenue officer for an early-stage startup delivering compelling solutions in the retail and consumer domain, focusing on AI, IoT, video conferencing, and unified messaging platforms. He'll be sharing some of his personal experiences at IMT and thereafter, along with tips on helping you prepare for the coming 2 years. The students are requested to post their questions in the chat box, and they'll be taken up at the end of the session. We now very warmly welcome Mr. Prabhat sir to take over.
Thank you so much, Manyata, esteemed faculty members, and dear students. Good morning to all of you. I just wanted to quickly make sure that I have my timer on for my presentation started so that I do not eat into the next speaker's time. But basically what I wanted to talk about today is, just one second, what happened to my presentation? Just give me a second, please. Is my presentation visible now?
Yes, sir, it is. Yes.
Okay, so, well, I was just talking before the session started, almost to the day, 28 years ago, on the 13th of July, 1993, I joined IMT after having worked for a little over a year post my engineering. So effectively, what I'm going to be talking about is some Gyan, and then a little bit more Gyan, and if time permits, some more Gyan thereafter. This is season 4, episode 1 for me, because for the last 4 years, barring last year, 2020, I was not part of the orientation program for obvious reasons. But since 2017, pretty much I've been part of the orientation plan, and I'm thankful to the Institute to give me that opportunity year on year. And given the fact that you may not see a blackboard for some time to come in the classroom, my presentation background happens to be a blackboard. Okay, so without further ado, let me make a statutory declaration. These are purely my reflections. Names, characters, places, businesses are all, and incidents are all real. Any resemblance to people living or dead is purely intentional, just to set the context, or for that matter, as a matter of conjecture. So please don't take it any other way. And I hope you bear with me as we move forward. Today, we are between a rock and a hard place. Okay, on one side, we have Corona, and the way we as individuals, as a community, and as a country are handling that. And on the other side, we see that dream of that $5 trillion economy slowly and slowly diminishing. We only have another 4 years to go, 3.5 years to go to get there. In my personal opinion, we will fall short. And that has serious ramifications to the way the economy is going to move between now and the next 2 to 3 years, given the fact that there is an election 1.5 years down the line. 2.5 years down the line. So yeah, it's not an easy place to be, but don't lose heart. There are certain tips that I will share with you. That's something that I use myself. And the fact that the world is constantly changing, you should be able to keep pace. And don't lose heart. Just carry on the way I would typically suggest to you. And of course, as you grow in stature, once you leave this institute and you join work, some of these tips may come in handy. So fundamentally, is this what you're here for? That's a question that you need to pose to yourself, and that's why I'm putting it up front. Are you here to get a degree and have the name of the institute on your resume, or you feel that you are part of a larger marathon? Because MBA is not a sprint. You need to pace yourself between now and the next 22 months in terms of making sure that you have enough fuel in reserve to make the final dash when placements happen, and thereafter still have it in you to complete the course and get ready for your career. Okay, so the first thing first, this is not a sprint. So don't believe in that hare and tortoise story. Okay, you have to be a tortoise as far as your MBA pursuit is concerned. Very rarely do rabbits win this particular race, until and unless you're truly gifted. I am not, so I treat myself as a tortoise, and I would call this as a marathon. MBA is an experience more than anything else. Okay, and that's why I've tried to give you a sort of comparative between the left column and the right column here. It's a life-changing experience. It's not as much educational. And when I say educate, it's not as much educational, is the fact that it is not what you learn only inside the classroom. That is what I mean by saying it's much less so educational. It is a blend of what you read, what you study, plus what you gain as understanding, knowledge, insights when you interact with your peers, with your seniors, with your alumni, or for that matter, industry and guest speakers. It's an eye-opener. Truly, it's an eye-opener. It is not an end of a dream. Okay, so if for some reason you feel that this was the only option and you somehow got into it, please don't think it like that. It's an eye-opening experience. It's a place where you just might meet your partner. I was lucky. I found my life partner at IMT as a course mate of mine. But it's also a good pause in life to sit back and recount and understand where you stand after or midway through your course, and how ready are you for a career in or for that matter an entrepreneurial journey, if that's what your true calling is. So treat it like that. Okay, every now and then pause, reflect, redeploy yourself. Pause, reflect, redeploy yourself. Don't make it a situation where you feel that at the end of the course it becomes a bump on your head and say, oh, what have I landed myself into? I did not use my time effectively enough. Pursuing an MBA is fundamentally a long-term investment. So make sure that you remain committed now that you've taken the plunge. And I'll tell you, when we joined in 1993, having worked for just about a year, I had an option before joining INT to switch jobs. And I realized very early on, and of course through some of my seniors from my engineering college, that you should have a formal degree as far as beyond engineering is concerned to open up career prospects for yourself. I was a salesperson when I joined. I remained a salesperson thereafter as well, but my perspective to work fundamentally changed. And I will bring up these points as I typically move forward. But these are, and please don't take it as lofty statements. Each statement that I've put here on the slide is purely out of experience and a certain amount of hindsight. And I will dwell upon it as I move further. What is an MBA? An MBA education is, sorry, there is a request from Ankur Gupta to annotate shared content. I do not know what this means. I'm declining it for the moment. So it is a mix of academics, co-curricular activities like what Manyata and team are doing as part of the Alumni Relationship Committee. It's about having fun. Unfortunately, in the current situation, you will have to temper your expectations as far as what having fun is concerned. And then, of course, it is about your social media presence and how do you actually prepare yourself to be interviewed. And I'll just touch upon that briefly. Academics. Had it been a classroom, I would have said attend all classes. Now, unfortunately, you do not have too much of a choice but to attend classes. But work smartly. Do not only depend on your curriculum that is imparted through these sessions. Read as much as you can. Thankfully, 28 years down the line, there is far more content that you can dwell into than what was available at our point in time. We had Economic Times, we had a Business Standard, we had a magazine called A&M. And if you were lucky enough, some cousin in the US would send you some photocopy or a fax of an Economist or an HBR article, which you would quickly grab and then go for photocopies. Exams are important, but you need to gain the system. It is not the be all and end all. So please make sure that you have an eclectic mix of all the understanding that you need from an academic perspective through the course curriculum, through the handouts that your professors and your teachers give to you, as well as additional reading material, or for that matter, subscriptions that you need to have. Your resume needs to be diversified. So you need to have some co-curricular activities around you, okay? I don't know how much of this is going to be relevant this time around because I don't live that life. But during our times, and as recently as 2-3 years ago, management school competitions, business plan presentations, entrepreneurial groups, and going and pitching your ideas. These are some of the things that you should typically look out for. This is important because it gives you a well-honed personality. It gives you the opportunity to challenge yourself, to challenge your understanding, and try and stretch the boundaries that you feel you are in. You get to stretch them as well. Join committees, committees which could be around placement, committees which could be around networking with industry, or for that matter, alumni. Your course specifications, so the marketing club, the finance club, and I know till about 3 years ago, or maybe 2 years ago, it was pretty robust. I do not know how it's getting conducted right now, but I'm sure the Institute will give you guidance on such initiatives as well. Okay. But try and have fun when you enroll yourself for these committees, because not only is it a learning exercise in terms of how you interact with people who are not necessarily within your campus, but it also gives you an opportunity to do some exciting teamwork together. Have fun, get a high. When I say get a high, I'm not, and I know there are faculty members on this call, so I will be mindful of that fact. When I say get a high, do something that you enjoy. I'm sure there are going to be opportunities where you can get out of your city, get out of your home, try and go outside, not too crowded places, keeping COVID protocols in mind, but do try and spend some time with yourself or with a core group of people that you may like to form friendships with. And most importantly, clean up your act as far as social media is concerned. Today, more than ever before, there is a huge amount of scrutiny that potential employers go through in terms of your social media profiles. And it's not only linked to Facebook or, for that matter, Instagram and LinkedIn. It is also in terms of trying to understand what's your digital footprint, what is it that what sort of information is what you consume, what are your reactions to that, and so on and so forth. Am I going too fast, or is this pace acceptable? So I'm assuming everything is fine.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
This is a very important point that I want to make for you. Your pursuit between now and the next 2 years has to be the fact that you need to keep this Venn diagram in mind. Okay, there is a market that you would go and join, be it the financial services sector, be it the marketing profile, be it in the digital information space, be it for analytics, and so on and so forth. And then there is a skill that you will hone, that you will develop as you spend the next 2 years in this institute. And then there is that inborn passion. And there is this fundamental interplay between your skill, your passion, and the market that you want to go and apply to, or the market that you're targeting. And hence you need to understand how big is that area of cross-section of these three diverse vectors. Okay? If you have the skill, you have the passion, but the market that you are trying to pitch to does not value the skill that you have, then you are like a starving artist. You will start looking for, you will quickly get, I would say, tense, you will get disillusioned pretty fast. So you try and map your skill to the market that you want to pitch to. And hence you need to be very, very aware as to what are the current trends in the market. And I will touch upon a few of them as my personal experience as we go along. If you have the skill which fits the market requirement, but you lack the passion to deliver, then that's not a job that you typically should be doing, because after 2 to 3 years, you will fall short of expectations of your peers and your seniors, or you will fall way behind in the so-called race for excellence. If there is a market, if you have the passion, but you just don't have the fundamental skills to go and pitch to that market, you will not get the offers that you typically would like to work for. And mind you, this particular area here, if you can see my cursor, this is not a static goalpost. This will change. This has changed in the last 36 months. Sorry, in the last 18 months, and it will change further. So you constantly need to keep an eye on the target here and try and see how close you can get to be. It would be a utopian situation if you think you are sitting here. You will never be getting here in the next 3, 5, 7, maybe 10 years, if you're lucky. Okay? But try and get as close to this area as possible, which basically means the more aware you are in terms of what's going on in the market around you or in the sector that you want to apply for, keep on making sure that you build upon your skills and making sure that your passion is at a medium or a high level to keep that sizzle going is what this entire game plan is about. And these 2 years are the most critical to do that. Okay? Because after this, the pressures of day-to-day work will take over. For some of you, there would be a pressure to go and repay the student loans that you've taken. So you may not have the luxury to keep on switching jobs or to sit back and wait for the ideal opportunity to come. And these are practical situations that you will foresee. So try and see how close you can get to this as much as possible. So there seems to be a little bit of a problem in moving slides. So that was first part of life at IMT and what are the inputs that I wanted to share with you. At this point in time, I want to take a quick break for about a minute or two. Are there any pertinent questions to the section that I've covered? Because iske baad picture abhi baki hai. That is a separate set of inputs that I wanted to share. But during the 4 or 5 slides that I talked about in terms of demystifying and in the education for you, the way I look at it, any questions at this point in time?
So
Okay.
you can write your questions in chat box. So as and when we'll ask those questions will be important for you. So you can write it, yes.
So the next 14, 15 points that I have across the 3 or 4 slides are to be reviewed by you when you are at a cusp of leaving this institute and ending up into a career. But the reason I have shared this here is because there have been distinct phases in my life where I've gone through each and every point that I've mentioned here. Some of them have been revelations. Some of them have been experiences that I've gained after some amount of hardship, and some of them are my fundamental learnings that I've got from my seniors, or for that matter, when I've worked for organizations. Management is about people. You don't manage a profile, you manage people. Okay. Let's take an example. You're in a sales job. Okay. And in the sales job, your target is to go and meet your numbers week on week, fortnight on fortnight, month on month, quarter on quarter. What is sales management all about? Sales management is about the ability to align yourself with the customer expectation, the ability to understand completely what is the product or the services that you're delivering and what is the benefit that you're trying to give to that particular customer. If you do not understand the customer stakeholder, you would either be pitching a feature which he may or may not understand, or you would be not talking about the actual benefit that the customer needs. Hence, it is about managing people expectations. That brings me to the next point, which says, listen to others. Listen to the guy sitting across the table. He could be your colleague, he could be your manager, he could be your customer. Listen to them. Understand what is their expectation of you. If you do not understand what their expectation is of you, you will never be able to pitch them the solution that they are looking for. Okay. You may be pitching something which could be a good to have, but you're probably missing what they need to have. Hence, it is important for you to listen to others. Never work for horrible guys, be it your colleagues, be it your boss. I've had 3 instances in my life where I've worked for people which prompted me to make changes in the short term, which had a long tail as far as the impact on my career is concerned. No hard feelings about it. But be honest to yourself. If you find traits of a person whose only role is to either belittle you or to disregard you or to run you down or to live in reflected glory of the work that you do, don't work with that. Because the amount of effort and emotional turmoil you will go through to live up to their expectations, hoping that they will give you a positive word or a positive feedback, is going to be very, very difficult for you. And it takes a huge toll on your mental faculties as well as on your head. And I've gone through that, and I'm sharing my personal experience. Don't network with people of your own age group. Okay. When you join an organization as a part of management trainees, you tend to flock together. Okay, and then you typically get typecast in organizational hierarchies: senior executive, area manager, territory manager, regional managers, CXO -1, CXO. Don't just network with people in your own group. People junior to you, and in your phase of career, people senior than you have a lot more wisdom to impart to you, which you should absorb as a sponge. I'll take my example. Today, at the age of 51, I work with team members on my team, which are typically a generation junior to me. They're typically in the age group of 25 to 30. The way they look at a problem versus the way I look at a problem are very, very different. The way they are wired to find solutions, I'm very different from them. But I can learn on a day-to-day basis. So don't just network with people of your own age group. Take time to understand what your business does. To my earlier point, don't sell a feature, sell a benefit. Make sure that the person in front of you truly absorbs what you stand for. Find that niche that you want to exploit, which course books will tell you what is your USP. It is not only about USP. It is about what your business can deliver to some, or what your work can deliver to somebody who's going to receive the output that you deliver. Don't put off working overseas. Again, one experience of mine. I had 3 opportunities between 2001 and 2004. And for one reason or the other, I could not take them on. So in hindsight, I could have been smarter. No regrets again. But if you get an opportunity, please grab it with both your hands, because it gives you a very different perspective in terms of organization culture, working with people with different cultural backgrounds, ethnicity backgrounds, passion towards work, the way they are wired. It would be a great experience if you can get to work overseas. So please try and see if you can get an opportunity. Whether you tend to stay back or come back is entirely your prerogative thereafter. Never sacrifice personal ethics for a work reason. And I say that very proudly with a hand on my heart. I have been faced with so many situations where you have this ethical dilemma saying, let's go grab that business because we don't know when it's going to come back again to us. And let's see if we can cut a few corners and get there. Don't do that. Ever. Okay. Recognize that failure is learning. Don't be disheartened. You will fail. You will fail continuously. And I can tell you that if you feel that you will never fail, wake up. You will realize over a period of time that you have to constantly realign your expectations of success, because failure is never unidimensional. Failure always has multiple points of reference. Failure has points of reference in terms of saying you did not meet your sales goals. Well, what could you do when COVID happened and your customers stopped buying? You can't do anything about that, right? You did not get that promotion because somebody else was probably smarter or was more deserving, whatever the case may be. So never recognize that, always believe that failure is another option for you to learn. And especially in the case of startups, fail fast, learn fast. So don't be afraid of failing. And I'll give you a couple of examples in the next minute or two. Most success comes from repetition, not doing new things. Keep on honing your skill. Do the good thing again and again and make good better and better best. That's the only way you will succeed. Yes, you have to do new things, but you can't always be reinventing yourself to try new things to be successful. You have to be good at what you do. And work will always not be great. Okay, there will be times in a salesperson's life, he gets reminded every 25 days as far as targets are concerned. In a marketing profile, you get reminded 10 days before launch. In the case of data analytics, you will realize when your numbers tank. Okay, so work is always not great. Take it in your stride and always have a positive attitude. And most importantly, in the next 4 to 5 years, or maybe 7 years from now, you will get married, you will have children, and you will be at a stage in life where you would be faced with a question saying, do I pursue that next job which will uproot me from my current location or take me away from my children, and I go and work and earn some extra bucks? And this is my personal example. Today, my daughter is 18 years old. When she was 10 months and she took her first step, I was somewhere in Singapore attending a Nokia meeting. When she first went to school, I was at Vodafone in Bombay. The day of her school opening, I could not make it to Delhi. On her 10th birthday, which was a big milestone within the family for a kid to reach double figures, I was in China with Bharti. So please make sure that at some point in time you deprioritize your career because your kids are going to need you, and these are these milestones that you need to be there. And last but not the least, in the workforce, always act as if you're 35. Because at 35, you have at least 12, 13 years of experience, and you're always hungry to learn more. The day you feel that you've done it, you've been there, you've done that, no, that is not the point. And to the morning comment saying distinguished guests have already been there, done that. Well, I've been there, I'm doing that. I'm not yet there. Okay. So let me give you a couple of career start essentials. And this is the last serious slide I will have, and I have only 4 slides after this. This is the last serious slide. Especially with COVID and the way it has changed the overall scenario as far as jobs are concerned. Just a couple of points. You need to have flexibility and adaptability because fundamentally business models have been recast. Okay, the ascent on digital marketing in the last 12 months, it would have taken us at least another 8 years to move marketers or brands to focus on digital marketing, or for that matter, omni-channel marketing in a manner that they're doing now. It would have taken them 8-10 years had COVID not been around. So you need to keep an open mind. You should be able to work well under pressure because situations will keep on changing. The complexity of the work that you would have to do will keep on changing, and you will have to keep on reprioritizing yourself in terms of what is it that you need to do between now and the next 10 days, and what is it that you can park for later. You need to start developing critical thinking skills. And the starting point for that is a clear and rational thought. Now, these are very easy for me to say. It is a different ballgame when you have to imbibe this on a regular basis. How do you evaluate information? Okay, information today for a brand can come in from search, can come in from marketplace buying models, can come in from website traffic, social media tendencies, buying patterns at store. And I'm just taking a classic example of retail. How do you evaluate all this information? How do you make sure that the organization has one view of the customer, which is irrespective of the channel from which the customer comes to buy from you? That sort of a thought process has to be there. There's tons and tons of information. How do you evaluate it? What is important? Why is it important to be taken? Why is it important to be evaluated at this point in time? And who is it going to benefit? Are the 3 questions that you need to answer for yourself as you start getting ready for a career outside. Tech savvy. You need to have fundamental amount of data literacy. I don't say that you understand coding. I'm not saying that you should get into AI ML models, but you need to understand core data models or why data is important, and some amount of digital skills in terms of understanding and evaluating. Creativity and innovation. Because there is so much of information that is around you, you need to have an analytical thought process. How is it that you're going to look at information? How is it that you're going to structure information is something which is very important. And my timer has gone off, so I will now quickly go through 2 more slides. So this is just one, probably the only slide you should look at after this presentation gets over is something here. And now let's do an alt tab because my time is over. I'll not take more than 2-3 minutes for this. I just wanted to talk a little bit about myself. This is my first 18 years of my entrepreneurial career, and these are the phases of my life after MBA. Okay, so in 1995, June, when I took my job, my thought process was I will do everything that my boss says. And I was lucky I did that. My first boss was probably my guru. I learned my sales essentials from a guy called V. Ravi Krishnan at Ramco Systems. He was my sales manager, my regional manager for North. And till date, every year, 12th of May, I make it a point to go on Facebook and pay my respects to that guy on his birthday, saying whatever I've learned from him. So the reason I put this here is because you always need to be open to ideas and learnings from your senior. Then in 99, I said, let's do something more. Dil chahta hai. So decided to move from an Indian company to a multinational company, joined Intel as the head of distribution for them. But fundamentally, between Ramco Systems and the first 2.5 years of Intel, I was only doing one thing and one thing only, which was channel sales and distribution. So in 2001, I said, "Ye dil mange more." Walked up to my boss and said, "Can you give me a new profile? I'm getting bored of sales and distribution." And he gave me a role which was about strategic alliances, managing Microsoft as a partner, HP as a partner, and the larger telecom ecosystem within Intel. And that I had to unlearn everything that I had been doing, because in distribution, you live by the day and the week. In alliances like HP, Microsoft, in the telecom ecosystem, it can take you months, maybe quarters, to get to the goal that you deserve. So it is a test of patience. So here I was crunching numbers every day, and that used to give me a high. And then I moved into a job where I will not see anything moving for maybe months. So I stretched my boundaries there. At some point in time, I felt like Suresh Oberoi in the movie Company, like a hitman. Give me the job, it'll get done. And that's what probably my bosses looked at me at that point in time. That led to a certain amount of self-confidence in the year 2008, 2009, when I decided to fundamentally change my course of trajectory of my career and join a pure play marketing role. And I thought I was like Salman Khan in Dabangg. Nothing could go wrong with me. I know everything. Which led, for a brief moment of time, for a very brief moment of time, made me believe I was invincible like Amitabh Bachchan in the movie Sarkar. Then I could rule everything. Yes, I was running almost about 70% of the revenue of a company. And honest to God, yes, I had a certain amount of pride in the way I was managing things. But it's a big learning that things can change overnight. And that's when I pressed Alt Tab again. Not Control Alt Del. I pressed Alt Tab again, and I got into my next 8 years, which was as part of an entrepreneurial journey. And I went and reset myself, and I was one of the 3 idiots here. We were 3 people who started a company in video analytics for retail. A pure technology solution for hardcore retailers who did not understand a word of what we were saying when we started. And that is where perseverance comes. That is where challenging the norm comes into play. 7 years we spent, and then COVID happened. We were a business which was clocking close to about 5 crores a year, which was roughly about 45 lakhs of revenue per month. And on 18th of March 2020, all that revenue came to zero. Zero. All our customers closed down their stores. We had nothing to report. We had a SaaS model, monthly monies coming in, 83 people to handle, and we had zero revenues for March, for April, for May, and for June. 4 months. How we managed in terms of hera-feri with customers, cajoling them, threatening them, got some money out, paid some of our team members, and then we said, what next? And that is when Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara was a very key word for us between my partner and I. We said, look, this is the only chance that we have. Otherwise, we'll have to go back to a regular job again, which none of us were ready for. And we said, let's give it one more shot. And we started our business that we currently own. So it's been a year. 23rd of June 2020, we started the company BuyNext, which I'm a part of. It's been a good ride so far. It's been good fun. But honestly, we still haven't found what I'm looking for. The quest for understanding, the quest for excellence, the quest for being meaningful to the customers that we talk to is still there. Okay, so keep that hunger alive. That is my last slide. No more after this one. But I just wanted to part on this, that if this is your motto, then you will continue to excel. And this is something that we keep it as a ready reckoner. The day we believe that we found what you're looking for, inertia will set in, and that will not be a good thing. So that's my formal presentation. I'm sorry, I'm beyond the clock by about 8-9 minutes, but quickly open for questions.
So, sir, it was worth overshooting 6-7 minutes. I think all of us had a great beginning to this. And as I can see, there are questions from a couple of students. And they're the questions that you related with. There is a market skill and passion thing at the intersection, things would be lying. And they say students are not very sure, very not certain what they want. And there are many schools which are offering different things. So what will help them in making their choices easier?
Okay, that's a difficult one to absorb. It's a very easy one for me to answer. Okay, find what you're good at. Realize what you're good at. What is your core strength? Are you comfortable with numbers? Are you comfortable with talking to people? Are you fundamentally a problem solver by instinct? You need to identify that. There is a certain amount of introspection that you need to do. Okay, I'll give you my example. Okay, I was an engineer. I started selling computers. I found it the most exciting thing to do. I reveled in it. I loved it. I loved the fact that I would meet new people. I loved the fact that there was a tangible goal that I had to go and commit myself to. I was wired in a certain manner. I understand numbers. One of the reasons why I did not look at any other option and kept on extending my boundaries within sales. And even today, I look at everything which is business oriented, operational oriented. I am not a product guy. I'm not a tech guy. I cannot work in amorphous situations where the target will keep on refining itself as we move forward. So you need to find that one. Two, you need to find the niche that within that ecosystem that you want to go and target. So if you're good with numbers and you have a fair understanding of how social media works, maybe analytics, maybe market research could be something that you could possibly look at. Business intelligence could be something that you could look at. So I'm just giving you example. It's an interplay of what is your fundamental strength versus what is the opportunity you want to go and and at the same point in time, your ability to keep on taking risks, saying, okay, let me do this and see where I get to. And then let's see where I get to. And then let's see where I get to.
Okay, I hope that responds very similarly to what one of the candidate was asking. I hope that helps. And one thing that I find and worth stressing here for all of us to understand this morning, there were so many high points to understand, pause, reflect and redeploy yourself. Finding your own unique space at the intersection of market, your skill and the passion that you want to have. And management is about people. It's not just about the technology. And the way things are changing and the way we have seen dynamism in our environment, you need to understand that failure is learning. And I wish to add and improve on my words, been there, done that. I agree, being there and being there and becoming there.